Hey everyone, welcome to this new moon / solar eclipse Sidereal Astrology forecast for the new moon on Tuesday, October 25th, 2022. All right, so we have a new moon / very partial solar eclipse. This is just an eclipse we see in astrology, not one we would see visibly, so just through astronomy, but it is close to the south node. And so in this case, we consider it an eclipse because it is the lunar cycle associated with the nodes, and in this case, the south node. So Virgo, it's another new moon in the constellation of Virgo. We had the last one here as well. And so now it is another new beginning with that improvement-oriented side. The side of ourself that wants to strive towards perfection, wants to get into the details of things, fix things, solve problems, create systems, structures. All of this is great to continue to set intentions with, and we'll likely notice a new beginning or another step in the right direction with continuing to develop this energy. Now, the south node is very karmic, so this is the past life energy, and so there could be some energy we're releasing with this. At least it's a good time to do this, to be aware of any past life patterns, karmic patterns, and do our best to release them spiritually, right? To make peace with and accept things for how they are when it comes to whatever it is we're presented with during this this lunar cycle. Now, it is going to be squaring up to deep Pluto, which is bringing in some of that empowerment energy that can be utilized with it. It is going to be trining Mars, though, so there is some of that fire assertiveness certainly supporting it. But fundamentally, it is going to be conjunct Venus, the planet of our values and relationships. So there's really a new beginning emerging here, not only with that improvement-oriented side, not only with this karmic resolution, but also with our values, what we value in life, what we enjoy, perhaps new things being established here, and also with relationships and partnerships is likely the case as well, since Venus often is associated with this. All right, so let's go and take a look at all of this here in more detail when we return. Alrighty, so here is the chart for the new moon / solar eclipse here. That's going to be on Tuesday, October 25th. The exact time is around 5:15 a.m. That's Eastern time of the Americas. But we're using topocentric here, which means that it's going to depend on not only your time zone, but also where you are specifically on Earth. But for all intents and purposes, it is around this early Tuesday-ish, for some of us maybe late Monday time period here. All right, so fundamentally, this is a new moon, it is a new beginning, and by the way, we are using the actual size of the constellations here, so you will notice the signs are different if you're coming from a mainstream astrology background. If you are, definitely check out the link down below for more information on using what we're doing here today, the visible sky. We're using the visible sky. It's called True Sidereal Astrology. There's more information on that down below, but if you were to look at the eclipse, or in this case, use software to see it, you would see it right at the end of Virgo. Okay, so new moon, time of new beginnings, a new lunar month surfacing. So as we do approach Tuesday, as always, it's a good time to complete things from that previous cycle, to let things end, to complete things, to finalize things. And it's in the context of Virgo, the previous cycle as well. So it still might have to do with these same things that we're having a new beginning with, dealing with our work, our service, improvement, perfection, right? Some of that analytical energy, maybe personal development, right? Creating solutions and fixing things and striving towards improvement in the areas of self, in the areas of our environment, and in our service to others. This is all very much Virgo-related stuff. So completing those things from that previous cycle, but as I said, this is more like a new beginning in the same vein, in that same direction. And so another step in the right direction now, and a new beginning in the right direction with developing this improvement nature of ourselves through Virgo. Okay. Now, because it is the closest new moon to the nodes in this case, we will, in astrology, consider this a solar eclipse, partial solar eclipse. It's not going to be visible or anything like that. But the reason we considered it so is because it is this lunar cycle in which the life paths are changing, in which the nodes are being activated. Now, this is going to be mostly felt when we do have the full moon / lunar eclipse, which will be in 2 weeks from now. That's going to actually be a total lunar eclipse, because by then the sun will have gotten closer to the south node, which means by the time the moon opposes that in the full moon, it'll be very close to the north node, and so that'll be a total lunar eclipse. So it's suggesting that this cycle is a life path cycle, right? We have these eclipse seasons twice a year, and now it's suggesting that there is new beginnings, not just generally like there would normally be with a new moon, but specifically to our life path, okay? And they can be quite significant new beginnings, generally speaking, okay? But they're sometimes hard to see. They're more spiritual, they're more internal. You know, the nodes are non-visible parts of the sky. We don't actually see them, so they're more of the internal experiences or unseen experiences. But for those of you that are spiritually inclined, which is most of you, and those that are into internal awareness and all this spiritual internal stuff, will feel it. And so this is really that the new moon is about releasing, because it is a south node associated solar eclipse. So the south node is our past life energy. It's the energy that we're coming from before this life, depending on your view there with that stuff. And so it's a great time to be aware of any patterns that we're doing, right? So this would be things that are what the Hindus would say is our karmic patterns, our default patterns, the things we do kind of unconsciously or automatically in our life. The things that we also seek, want fulfillment with, but don't really find fulfillment with in this life. So it's a good time to essentially allow for that more yin approach. The south node is yin, meaning that it's very good to release, to clear, to make peace with these things, okay? And so if anything does arise here that seems like it's karmic, maybe it's challenging, maybe it's things from the past, maybe it's your own karmic patterns, it's an excellent time to connect with this. It's not really an outer awareness like the lunar eclipse will be. That'll be in a couple weeks, where the outer world is really gaining that awareness. This is more of an internal thing with the new moon, right? This is feeling it. So feeling, connecting with our soul, seeing what does arise and doing some of that releasing work, right? I mean, I don't mean releasing as in pushing the stuff away. I mean being aware of it, accepting it, right? Making peace with it, whatever arises, whatever the mind arises with and whatnot. And as a result, this can be a very transformative, as all eclipses are, very transformative new moon in this case, and really gearing us up for the remainder of the cycle, which, as I said, will be continuous shifts and changes along that life path, because this is, the south node is the path behind us. And so we have to make peace with and release spiritually the path behind us before we can make shifts moving forward. And so the south node eclipses are the ones where we do more of that releasing type of work there. All right, but fundamentally, again, it's about Virgo. It's about developing that improvement, refinement energy in our life in this new way, and perhaps releasing some unhealthy ways of doing that. Maybe too much perfection, too much work, too much improvement. All right, this was a big theme last lunar cycle of balancing that Virgo and Pisces energy we've been talking about. But in this case, if there's any karmic patterns or unconscious patterns in your life that are in this vein of Virgo, of improvement, work, service, perfection, details, analytical, right? Again, this could be specifically what we're releasing. And as a result, that'll likely create more balance and more harmony in our life, which would normally be the case, but especially because the South Node's in Libra, suggesting that any work we're doing with the South Node right now could be creating more balance and harmony in our life. Now, this is double emphasized by the fact that Venus is going to be in a very close conjunction to this new moon. And Venus, the ruler of Libra, is associated with balance, right? It's fundamentally about our values and relationships, okay? But readjusting our life towards more balance. So in the realm of values, this is most certainly going to be a new beginning with what we value in life, what really matters to us, what we enjoy, being aware of that, and perhaps starting some new things in the context of that value. That can also be external values as well, such as resources in the external world, since Venus does rule Taurus. But this stuff will be going through that sort of resource and value side of things. Just know we'll be going through a reworking process as Mars is slowing down for his retrograde, which will be later this week on Sunday, for a few months until January 13th. Okay, for almost a few months there. Okay, but new beginnings with our values, with the conjunction to Venus. We've already got a glimpse of this from the previous weekend leading up to this new moon, since Venus was conjoining the sun at this time. But definitely a good time for setting any new intentions around what we value in life, internally and externally. And of course, relationships as well, as Venus can signify that. Perhaps we'll see some new partnerships or new relationships or new approach to our existing relationships coming out of this new moon. And again, great to set intentions with that as well. Okay, so that's the most important stuff going on with this partial eclipse, but we do have some aspects to talk about. There is a square up to Pluto and a trine up to Mars. Okay, so Mars is supporting this new moon. Mars is the assertive, direct side of ourselves, the side that has needs and is willing to take action and pursue these needs. Okay, so that is supporting it. And so it's nice to see that anything that does require action, initiative, trusting our gut, right? Things that require confidence, right? We have the support for that. Keeping in mind that Mars is moving very slowly right now, is about to pause in the sky on Sunday. And so all of this will be going through a reworking process, but nonetheless, there is that support for that fiery energy. Now the square to Pluto makes it a bit more deeper and intense, making it more transformative. It already is, as we said, with the South Node, but that's adding to it with Pluto. And so Pluto in the square makes it challenging to really dive deep into the core of what we really want. In other words, what we'll naturally do, and this is just collectively, but what we'll naturally do is maybe, do things that are more out of safety or security, or, to avoid pain, or, to listen to more of our fears and maybe our more instinctual self, safety, security, all of this, which is totally fine. But sometimes it's important for us to move through those fears and to, do that inner work of, being aware of what we're afraid of. And maybe the reason we're afraid of it is because maybe we really do want it. There's this saying that the things we're most afraid of in life are the things we actually value the most. And so this kind of energy really comes through when Pluto's squaring Venus, Venus being so close to this new moon as well, being new beginnings with our values. But nonetheless, it's a good time to challenge ourselves to do that Pluto energy, to face those fears, to empower ourselves, right? And to dive deep with ourselves, right? Maybe do some healing or self-empowerment, or do things in the external world that moves through fears or would result in more self-empowerment, okay? With intention, because the square will tend towards, again, the imbalances of the planet. And so in this case with Pluto, maybe it's, again, safety, security. Sometimes maybe it'd be, wanting to, go too deep or too intense with things. But with the mindfulness of, constructively implementing healthy depth, healthy transformation, healthy facing fears and all this, makes it an excellent time. And it's very good to see that there's a nice balance between the easier aspects and the more challenging aspects with this new moon, because I honestly believe we need a mix of both. We don't want just a bunch of easy aspects our whole life. We'll never grow and never develop. It's the squares that make it the most constructive times of the year, most constructive parts of our charts. And, and this is when things are really built and transformed, and we grow and we empower. And so great new moon for that kind of stuff. And again, we'll likely notice that metamorphosis, that transformation emerging out throughout this lunar cycle. All right, everyone. So that is the new moon / solar eclipse in a nutshell. Fundamentally, it's a new beginning, another new beginning in Virgo the Maiden, that improvement, refinement energy. Mercury, the ruler of Virgo, is here as well in Virgo, so it's just adding to more of that energy. All right, it's going to be conjunct Venus, which is a new beginning to our values and our relationships. Okay, but all in the context of clearing, of making peace with, of releasing, right, internally, spiritually. And as a result, it's going to be a very liberating new moon. It can be a new beginning to feeling more free, more empowered, and transformed, especially because of the square to Pluto. And we do have the support to do that with the trine to Mars to help us cultivate some of that fire. Even though it is slowing down and it is in the grounded sign of Taurus, nonetheless, support for some of that trusting of our instincts, some of that fire and assertiveness as well. All right, so everyone, have a fantastic new moon. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to click the like button if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you're not yet signed up for MTZ Insiders, it is a free newsletter where you do get these videos released first before YouTube. There's a link down below to sign up for that. But have a great one, everyone, and I'll see you all next time for the next astrology forecast. Take care.